Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the happy sunny side up egg maybe, or just happy egg. I haven't quite decided because I know people want the just round egg as well, but I think it turned out super cute, and it is 3D puffy for the egg face. Super sweet, it's awesome, and it goes well with the bacon and the happy toast. And that's my cat playing with some paper behind me if that gets annoying. But I think they're adorable and definitely worth it. So this was a little hard to do, to get the face to pop out like that, but I managed it, so super happy. Very cool. It is a little band heavy, especially in the white, obviously. It is actually 300 white bands, so half a package of bands. Sorry for that, but I don't know how else to, unless I just kind of did a little frilly edge around the face, but I still want to stick with the 3D squishy stuff, so that's kind of why it has to be that many bands. And I tried to make it as small as I could, but still fit in size-wise with these ones and have the face, and I did my best. But it is 300 white bands. It's only 40 yellow though, so that's a good thing. And then 1 to 3 black bands, depending if you use the 7mm pony beads for the eyes, and then 2 pink for the cheeks. So we'll get started, because this will take a while because we do some reducing and expanding and stuff like that. So we'll get started. We'll talk about the eyes and the cheeks first. You can use, like I said, the pony beads. These are 4mm by 7mm, or if you want, you can still just use a wrapped band. Either way works. And then you'll need your cheeks as well. So if you're going to use a bead for the eye, you want to find a piece of wire or thread or string or floss or something, anything you can get into a V shape, and then you'll take 2 of the center egg color bands, put them in the center, and then thread your bead down over. Get your bead into the center of your bands. Take out your tool, and then you have a beaded eye band like that, and you would need 2 of those if you're going to use the beads. Then if you're going to use a wrapped band for the eye, it's just 1 band, whatever color you want the eye to be, on your hook, wrap it around once into a figure 8, grab both bands, wrap them around again, and then pull through 2 bands the color of the inside of the egg. So like that. And pull your bands down. So you have to make 2 of these if you did the wrapped eye bands. The cheeks are made the same way as the eyes. It's just 1 band, whatever color you want your cheek to be, on the hook. Wrap it around into the figure 8. Then grab both bands and wrap them around again. And then pull through 2 bands, that center color of your egg. So you need 2 of these as well. My mango bands are so sticky. So, it is of course on just 1 loom. I'll use the wrong end of the loom to start with, and we do expand quite a bit, so you're going to want to start in the middle. And we start first on, I guess, 3 pins on each side, so kind of start right in the middle of your loom. We're going to start with the white. We work our way from the top down. I'm using glow-in-the-dark white, and then I'm going to use mango this time. I use just yellow here. So, first we'll start by making some X's across the loom, just 2 of them. It's 2 bands, so I'm going to go from the left over to the right on a long stretch, and then I'll go from the right over to the left right on top of that. And then right where we left off, right here, we'll do our next X from the left to the right. And then again from the right to the left with 2 bands. Almost everything is double banded unless I tell you differently, so just kind of keep that in mind. And 2 bands, we're going to do a cap band on this pin and on this pin. But it's 2 bands for each cap band. Wrapped around 1 time. Like that. Then what we're going to do is loom this out. So you're going to want to make sure that, just in case you didn't put your bands on the same way I did, you're going to want to start on the side where the band is underneath the other band. So you go in through that cap band, grab those bands, 2 bands below, pull them up through the cap band, and then do a long stretch over to the other side of the loom. Then do the same thing through the other cap band. Go through here, grab those bottom 2 bands, pull them up, long stretch over, and then start again with the bottom bands. Go ahead and grab those up, pull them all the way across, and do the same thing on this side. So that's what we have to start. Now we're going to do a row around these 6 pins here. So 2 bands, we'll start down here, go across, and then just kind of make out the rectangle. And it's 2 bands all the way around. Like that. And then we're going to go and flip the bottom 4 bands all the way around over the top of the top 4. And when that happens, you have to go back. Uh-oh, it's not a good start. My band's already falling off. Make sure they stay on the pins. There we go. Bottom 4 all the way around. Like that. And push those down. Now we're going to expand. And we're going to expand the top right and the bottom left. So for the top right up here, we can just pick up the 2 bands, as long as you've laid them the same as I did. We can just pick up the top 2 bands and bring them up, like that. And you'll see that this band comes around to this pin, and the band that's left comes down to this pin. Then down here, when we do it, if I picked up the top band only, I'd actually be crossing, because this band on my hook comes from this pin, and if I pulled it down to here, I'd be crossing this one, and then we'd kind of end up with a little mess up in the design. So that's kind of, up here we could do it, but down here we can't, and then as we go on, when we expand, that happens again. But what I do is just, I'm going to pick up all the bands on this pin, pull them down, 1, and I'm going to pick up the top 2 and bring them back. So now these bands on this pin come up to here, and this band here on the left goes over to the right. We just don't want any of them to cross. I'll try not to be naggy as we go on, and we have to fix those. But so now we're going to do another row around. 2 bands, just be a long stretch on the end, and then up the side and long stretch, and then back down. Naggy. I never nag. Of course, I don't know what my husband would say about that, but what does he know? Like that. Then we're going to flip over. It'll either be the bottom 4, like on these first 2 pins here, or it'll just be the bottom 2 where we expanded. So the bottom 2 here and on the end. Then on this side it'll be the opposite, so it'll be 4 on the end. And then 2 on the last ones. Like that. Should have 4 bands. Every time we flip, we'll have 4 bands left on the pins, so if that helps make it a little easier. So like that. Now we're going to expand again. This time it's going to be the short corners, so the top left and the bottom right. Up here on the top, we are going to have to take all the bands and move them up a pin. So I'm going to grab all of them and just pull them up. Get them back on that pin. Then I'll grab the top 2 bands and pull them down to the pin they were on. So this band here comes around to this band up here, and this one on this pin comes down here. No crossing. And then down here we need to do the same thing. So pick up the bands, pull them down, grab the top two, and bring them back. No crossing. So we're going to do another row around. 2 bands. We're just going to make the rectangle. Like that. And then once again, where we expanded, we're just going to have 2 to flip over. And then on the other pins, it'll be 4. And these ones will have the 2. Push your bands down. And we're going to expand again. This time it'll be the top right and the bottom left again. So up here you should just be able to pick up the top 2 bands. And we can pull them up here. And then down here we have to move the bands again. So I'm going to pick them up and pull them down. And pick up those top 2 and bring them back. No crossing. Then we're going to do a row around, 2 bands, so that long stretch, and 2 bands. My kids, on the other hand, especially my oldest, I'm pretty sure he would consider me a nag. You know, like clean up your room, put your clothes away, turn off the light. I mean, how many times can you tell a kid to turn off the light? It's a lot. They're awesome though. I love them, but they have their moments. I'm sure I had my moments as a child as well. Maybe a lot of them. So like that. And then once again, we'll flip either the bottom 4 or where we expand it'll just be 2. Oh, who am I kidding? I was a perfect child. In my eyes. I suppose you'd have to ask my mom if she might have something different to say. I was a good kid though. Like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move some bands around. So on the top, we're going to actually shift some of the bands towards the back, and then on the bottom we're going to do the same thing. So we'll start kind of down here at the bottom. Just want to get my place here. So down here, I'm going to take 2 bands, or take these bands on the end, and I'm going to pull them down 1 pin. I'm going to take the next ones up and pull those down 1 pin. And then up here, I'm going to take these top bands, hook them all, and they're going to come all the way to the back. Just make sure you get them all on the pin. Then these bands here are going to come up a pin. Get on the pin. Like that. And then we're going to shift these ones up as well. Up 1 pin. So we shifted 3. 1 of them went to the back, and then 2 of them went up 1 pin, and then down here we just shifted them down 2. And then you should still have 1 right in the center. between two empty pins. So now what we're going to do, push those down. You're going to take two of your middle egg color and we're going to puff that middle band that we left on there. So I'm going to take my hook and stick it through the bands. Then I'll grab two bands, pull them up through. I usually have my hook the wrong way. Pull them up through, hook both of them, take the bands off the pin, and then what's on my hook is going to go back onto that pin. So like that. So now we're going to do a roll around, and we are going to start with some transition bands. There are not too many in this design, thankfully. But I'll show you what I mean by transition bands when we get to that point. So I'm going to start down here, two bands across the bottom, and then two bands in that next little spot right here. Now there's a long stretch between here, but we need to actually do a transition band. There's two ways to make them. I'm sure there's probably more, but one way is I put the bands on top of each other, and I grab the bottom band with one hand, and then I'll come and grab the top band with the other one. So I kind of have it like this, and if I pull tight I'd have a knot. But what they're actually going to do is kind of fold over each other. So then I end up with a half and half band. And I'll show you the other way on the other side here. But so the white is going to be by the white, and then the yellow or mango will go towards the center. So look like that. The other way you can make these turns out exactly the same. Is just take the two band colors that you need, lay them on your loom. Doesn't matter which color's on top. Then you'll take your hook and go in through whatever band is on top, grab the bottom one, pull it back towards itself. So it looks like that. Then you go in through the little spot here, grab that other band that's not folded over, and just pull it back towards itself. And then you have another transition band, just like I did on my fingers. So you can do it both ways, works. So again, this one is going to start on the center and then do a long stretch to that far pin. So like that. Then the rest of it all the way around will be two white bands. I'm actually really proud that I figured out how to get the puffy egg face without having to like add it on afterwards or something like that. It was kind of challenging. So like that. We don't actually have any bands on these pins yet. So you're going to go and you're going to flip over the bottom four all the way around. I'm just going to flip that whole puffing band right over. So. Like that. And I'll just kind of tuck these back behind. So push your bands down. So now we're going to expand the middle. And we'll first do that. You just grab the top two bands, pull them up, and they should be coming from the top pins here. If you pull, I can kind of see that they're coming from the top. So then just pull those up to the pin up above. Just like that. Then we're going to do a half row. So to do that, we're going to start right here with a single band. And then we're going to have a transition band over these three pins. The white towards the white and the yellow towards the yellow. Then right through here will be two yellow. And then right here in this spot will be a transition band. Like that. And then another single band on the end. So single on the ends, and then a transition band, one's just short and one's long, and then 2 bands in the middle. So then for flipping, we're not going to flip anything on the ends, we're just going to flip the middle, I guess 4 pins, because we don't have anything on that one. But it'll be the 4 here, right over the top, and then there'll be the 2 on the yolk part, and then 4 here on this other pin. I'll tuck that back. So that's what we should have now. So push your bands down again. Then we're going to expand again. And we're almost getting done with the expanding, so this time we need to, I'm just going to pick these all up and move them down to the right pin. Pick them up, move them down. And then I'll pick up the top 2 bands, which should be coming from the top pin, or left pin, I guess how I'm holding it, and bring them back towards the middle. So now it looks like that. So we're going to do another row around. So it'd be 2 bands here on the end, then 2 bands, then there'll be a transition band here, like that, and the next 2 will have 2 yellow, and then a transition band, just sort of centering it between. Then the rest of the way around will be 2 bands on the white. When making these, I definitely thought of Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham. I like to read that story to my kids, because I usually make up my own little voices for the 2 characters in it. I don't know if I can do them now, but it's fun. They like that story, especially with the voices and stuff. But so like that. So we're going to flip the bands around. It's 4 on the back side, or on the left side, over. And then when you get to the front side, you're going to have 5 bands, because you have 2 bottom, or 2 the 2 from the bottom, and the next 2 up, and then you have that single band from our from our half row. So all 5 bands go over, and then you should be left with 4 bands on your pin. And there'll be 3 bands on the next one, 2 from the expanding on the next 2, and there'll be 4 on this one, then 3, and 5. Just flip them all over until you have 4 left on all the pins. So push your bands down again. Then we'll do another half row. So again, single band right there, and a transition band, and 2 yellow in the next 2 spots, and then a transition band, and then a single band. a single, transition, and then 2 yellow on each of these. So again, we do the same thing we did before. We're just going to flip the middle, only, well, this time it's the middle 5 pins. We don't do anything on the ends. So talking about Dr. Seuss, I'm going to have to make some green eggs, and then I'll have to make some ham too, I guess. So now it is the eye row. So you'll want your eyes. And we're going to start down at the beginning here. Two bands across. And 2 bands. Transition band. Then in the spots right here will be the eyes. Just take them out and center them like that. Same thing for the next spot. Then we'll have a transition band. Just going to center it. And then 2 bands in white all the way around the rest. Maybe if I'm brave, I'll do my voice at the end of the video. I don't want to do it now because one of the voices definitely makes my voice really hoarse after doing it for so long. So like that. I probably don't want to lose my voice in the middle of a tutorial. So we're going to flip over the bottom 4 along the back side. And in the front, you're going to have 5 on this front pin, leaving 4. And there'll be 3 on the next one. And it should be 4, 4, 4 again, then 3, and 5. So now would be a good time to kind of let this guy come up a little bit. So I'm going to take my hook and pull up some of the bands. Like that. Push your bands down. Now we're going to do the cheek row. So you want your cheek bands. It's basically the same exact thing as the eye row, just that we put cheeks where the eyes are. So 2 bands. Two more, then our transition. And our cheeks. And the next one. Then our transition band. Like that. And the rest will be white. Very lucky that my kids like to listen to stories being read. It's very good for the kids. So like that. Bottom 4 in the back. I really like these books that they have pictures for some of the words, so as we read along, we get to like a fish instead of the word there, it'll be a picture of a fish, and then he, since she's not old enough yet, can say what it is, and they kind of like help you read as we go along. And the bottom 4 on the front as well. I really like them, but they're really hard to find. Like, I found a ton of them all at once, and then it's like they disappeared. That. Push your bands down. So now we're going to add our mouth. I'm just going to use a black band. I'm going to put on my hook and wrap it around one time. And I'll take it and I'm going to go in between where the cheeks are, grab those bands that are on that pin, pull the ball up, leave them on my hook, slide down my mouth band, and then I'll put them back, put the bands on my hook back onto the pin. So it looks like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce, and we're going to reduce right in that front. So of course, since we pulled it up, they're not as nice as far as which one's top and which one's bottom. So you just want to find the top 2 bands, and when you pull it up, there should be able to see kind of a nice divide there, and I do. These ones are coming from the top pin, so they're going to come down to the bottom, and the other bands will go up to the top one, like that. Push those down. Now we're going to do a row around. So 2 bands, and 2 bands, transition band, then 2 bands and a long stretch here across the front, and the egg color, or yolk color, then a transition band, and then 2 white all the way around the rest. Like that. Then we're going to flip over the bottom 4 on the back side. Then on the front, be the 4 where the white ones are, and then where we have the yolk colored ones, you're going to have the 2 reducing bands, and then the bottom 4 to flip over. And there's nothing here, and this one will be the reducing bands, and then the bottom 4, and then the 4 on the end for the egg white. Push your bands down, and just flip that over. So now we're going to reduce again, and it's going to be in the front where the eggs are, where the yolk is. And what we're going to do is reduce this, I don't know what, I guess I first started doing it in the tacos, so I call it the taco reducing in my head, and now out loud. What we're going to do is go through the top 2 bands, make sure they're the top 2 bands. The mango bands are slippery. Go through the top 2 bands, grab the bottom 2 bands, pull them up through. And you can look too to see if those bands are the right ones by how they come through the ones still on your pin. But then you're going to take those that are on your hook and bring them towards that middle pin, and then this can come off. And if it's the right bands, then it'll still be together. you're going to do the same thing up here. Make sure you have them all, the top bands on top. Go through the top 2 bands. Grab the bottom 2, pull them up. And I can see that they come through the other ones. And I'll pull it towards the middle. And these can come off. And I just kind of loosen them up a little bit. So now you have the 2 reduced parts and that middle pin. Now we're going to do another row around. So, 2 white. And it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's not too bad. So, and then the 2 white. And we'll do our transition band from there to the center. And then another transition band. Log stretch again. And then 2 bands around the rest in the white. Like that. And then we'll flip over the bottom 4 all the way around. And I'm sitting here psyching myself up for trying to do my voices. It sounds silly, but I guess I won't know how hard people laugh at me because I won't be able to hear it. I have to remember the words to the story so it makes sense. Like that. Pull this up a little bit, unhook it from behind those pins. And push it down. So now what we're going to do is puff out this last egg yolk band with 2 white bands. So you go in through all those bands that are on this pin, hook 2 white bands, pull them up through, put both ends on your hook, pull the bands off the pin, and then replace them with the white ones on your hook. Like that. So now what we'll do is we'll actually bring in some of these bands just so it's a little bit easier to manage. So we're going to bring in, so let's grab the bands, next one's over, bring them back onto that empty pin. Like that. Grab the next ones, bring them down onto the empty pin. And then this one was actually up here when we started, so I'm going to bring it back up to the front as well. So I just put those 3 back up there. And then over on this end, we'll move these down. Back towards the center where they were. And then move these ones back to the pin. Right there. Like that. So it should look like this now. So we're going to do a row around in just white. We are done with the yolk. 2 bands all the way around. long stretch on the ends. Like that. Flip the bottom 4 all the way around. Like that. And push your bands down. And so then we're going to reduce these far points. And for these ones, we're just going to pick up the top bands, whatever those two are. Mine are coming from the left, so they're going to go over to the right. And the other ones will go to the left. And we'll do the same thing down here. Pick up the top 2 bands. Mine are coming from the left, so they'll go over to the right. And the other ones will go to the left. So we just made a little smaller rectangle. Then we'll do a row round in the white again. 2 bands. All the way around. Like that. And then on the ends, on all the end pins, you're going to have the 2 reducing bands and then the bottom 4 to flip over. And then the middle ones will be 4 bands. So again, the reducing bands and the bottom 4. Reducing. And the bottom 4. 4 through the middle. Reducing. And the bottom 4. Push your bands down. So we're going to reduce again, and we're going to reduce the 2 pins on this end, and we're going to do the taco reducing. So you want to make sure you can see which bands are the top and which ones are the bottom. Those are a little twisty. Don't want to have any boo-boos. So make sure you have the top and the bottom. Go in through the top 2 bands, grab the bottom 2 bands, pull them up through, and then you can see how mine kind of look like they come through, so that's the right way. And take these and pull them back to the pin before, and then this can pop off. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. Make sure you have the top and bottom separated. Go in through the top 2 bands, grab the bottom 2, pull them up, bring them back to the pin before, and pull these off. And push everything down. Then we're going to do a row around with 2 white bands again. This isn't actually taking as long as I thought it would, so that's a good sign. Hopefully I'm probably going too fast. I'll probably hear about it. Sorry. So like that. So on this end down here, you're going to have the 2 reducing bands and then the bottom 4 to go over the pin. And the other one should be 4 bands. Like that. Push your bands down. And we're going to reduce these 2 pins, or not those ones because we already did, these 2 pins again, just like we did before. So find the top and the bottom, go through the top 2, grab the bottom 2, pull them up, bring them back, and then these ones can come off. Same thing on the other side. Go through the top 2, grab the bottom 2, pull them up through, bring them back. Then these can come off. And push your bands down. And then a row around with 2 bands. I'm constantly looking at my camera to make sure that I'm on track with where I'm holding or positioning my loom. So sometimes I try and look at my camera and then see what I'm doing with my hands or what I'm pointing at, and obviously it doesn't always work. So like that. So again, these pins on the end are going to have the 2 reducing bands and the bottom 4 to go over. And then the other ones will have the 4. Like that. So now what we'll do is we will close this, because we're done. And we'll close it like the braiding that we do. So I'm going to put my hook in through one side. Take those bands off the pin. I'm going to go in through the opposite side, so the left. And then I'll do a slip knot, basically pulling those 4 bands through the ones that were already on my hook. Then I'll come to the opposite side, which is the right. Grab those, pull those through for the slip knot, and go over to the left, pull those through, and then as I get my last 2 here, so I'm going to hang on to the left side because those are the last ones. I'll grab the right ones, pull those through, and then the left. So I have the 4 bands on my hook still. I'm going to take 2 bands and pull them through everything on my hook, and then make a slip knot. And this little tail I'm going to tuck in. Come up through, grab, and hide. And I'm going to pull tight so it'll get rid of that little point. Unless they get stuck. I gotta pull a little harder. Of course, if I hang on to the band I'm trying to pull through, that doesn't help either. Way to be a genius. There we go. And I'll fix these. Pull them in more and hide them better. Let's give it a stretch out. You might have to go in and kind of loosen up the little edges here, just so it kind of rounds out where we reduced, and usually it's just where we have the taco reducing that we have a little kind of rounding issue, that it's not as round as you want it to be. If you kind of have this also right in here, you may want to go in and grab the very bottom little bands across here that are the yolk. Grab those and kind of pull them out to loosen them up. So those are really the only ones that I noticed that sometimes they would get kind of tucked up inside and then make the bottom face of the egg look kind of funny, but just loosen up any bands you need to. I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to the transition bands because I think that they're, for the most part, they, unless you were really off, you might want to come in and find one and kind of pull the white back towards the white. But I don't want to pull too tight because then that takes away from the puff of the egg face. But I think it's super cute. But a little tucking, a little pulling might be necessary. Nature of bands, but I really like it. And of course, I really want this to go back down a little further. So it almost inverts in that corner. So this is the best way to close it if you want it to be flatter. Sorry, I'm shaking my camera. If you want it to be flatter, this is the best way to close it, but then you end up with that knot, and that's kind of a pain. We don't want it to be there. So, awesome little happy, let's see, sunny side up egg, I think will be what we'll go with. Super cute. And of course how you have your bands, your tightness, your band types. It'll be awesome because everybody's eggs will be a little bit different in how they turn out. These were different. These are not rainbow loom bands here in the middle. These are, so you can see there's little difference in the puffiness of the middle of the egg and just how the bottom looks. They almost look like two different eggs, but I swear they're the same pattern. So, I hope you like them. I think you turn out super cute, and like I said, I think that it goes well with the bacon and the toast. So, I suppose all I can think of right now from this green eggs and ham story is Sam is his name, and he's always like, could you in a boat? Could you in a car, in a box? Put the box on a train. It's very high-pitched in my opinion. And then of course you have the other guy, which they don't really name, but and then I'm always like, I could not in a car, not in a box, not with a fox, and not in a boat. That's all I remember. It's usually much more gravelly. I think the kids laugh their butts off when I do it, so sorry for my poor, but I said I'd do it, so you can kind of chuckle at me. But I hope you enjoy these guys. I think they're super cute. If you make some, of course, make the entire breakfast. I'd definitely love to see it. You can share it with me on my Instagram, which is @craftingfantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic. Both should find me. There's a link under the video for that. And then, of course, subscribing to my channel so you know when I come out with new things would be fabulous. But I want to thank you guys very much for all your support that you've been giving me. I noticed that a lot of people are kind of giving up on looming, which is kind of sad. But we shall see. I'm kind of obsessive about things that I do, so I kind of might be sticking with it longer than other people, but I hope that you will stick with me, because I will definitely have more for you soon. But thank you again for watching, and happy looming!